Joining me now is co-founder of the Black Voters Matter Fund, LaTosha Brown. So, LaTosha, seeing turnout so low in DeKalb County, or at least from where Vaughn is standing and from his perspective, what does that say to you? Does it make you nervous at all, or are you leaning on the early voting turnout?
I mean, I think there's a number of things. One, I do believe that early voting turnout is going to make the difference and set the cushion. That was very intentional from organizations and groups like mine to actually get people to come out and vote early. We didn't want to take a chance that it would all land down just to the day, particularly since what we know since SB 202, since the passage of the voting rights, what we call the voter suppression bill that was passed shortly after the Senate race by the legislature in Georgia. What it did is it truncated the period that we had to vote for early voting. So normally last election we had 8 weeks. That's gone from 8 weeks to 4 weeks. And so there was a lot of effort and energy to make sure that people did not take for granted that they had the same period of time to be able to vote. So there was a lot of people that actually voted early. And so we think that's an indicator of that. Secondly, we also believe that there has been a steady flow. Well, there has not been the same kinds of lines that we've seen throughout the early voting period. There has been a steady flow. We've been to several voting sites all throughout the county, and you don't see the visual the same way because it's just a steady flow and a trickle of voters that are coming in, but it has been steady throughout. And so, and our in the out of this is going, there's a big cushion I think the Democrats had in the early voting period, and I think we're going to see that play itself out.
LaTosha, let me ask you something about what something I read from Adrian Shropshire, the executive director of Black PAC, and just noting that no matter who wins today, it will be historic for Georgia. A black senator voted to a 6-year term. But here's how she put Herschel Walker's candidacy. It insults the intelligence of black people when you think that you can just throw any old person up and that black people will just vote for them because they're black. When you think about the sort of multiple stereotypes that Herschel Walker represents, that tells you a lot about who Republicans think black people are and what they think they will accept in terms of political leadership. Do you think that the Republicans missed an opportunity by nominating someone like Herschel Walker?
Oh, absolutely. Matter of fact, I think it was extremely insulting as we're talking to people. They're extremely insulted by his candidacy. This is a candidate that literally a term that had been used as a racial slur throughout the 60s. Some may recall that Dr. King, that it was intentional that there were racists that were calling him Dr. Martin Luther Coon, that the term coon has been a derogatory racist term used towards African Americans, that from his own words at his own rally said that being called a coon, not only did that not bother him, but that in fact, he thought that a coon he was a country boy and it was the smartest animal. So for him to actually attach himself to a term that has been so negative and so derogatory, that literally has created a bad taste in the mouth, particularly of many voters, but particularly African-American voters. The fact that he doesn't live in Georgia, that this is someone that Donald Trump picked, he handpicked, they picked him up out of Texas, brought him here, and by his own account, he has been living in Texas, not in Georgia, is not a resident of Georgia. All of those things, I think, come to play when we've been talking to voters today.
LaTosha Brown, I didn't even know that he brought up that word. LaTosha, thanks very much for joining us, as always. Appreciate your time.